Hi, I'm Bill Roseberry from the Bill Roseberry Stories YouTube channel. I just wanted to stop by and talk for a little bit. A friend of mine brought to my attention the other day that, I post all these stories about my friend and I growing up and all these personal narrative stories about my sports writing career, all these things that are out there. But I've never really just stopped by and met the people. I know there's a lot of people that know me already that are part of my YouTube channel, but I'm getting more views and more subscriptions. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time to introduce myself, the story behind my channel, and just a little bit about me so you can get to know me. And I think I'm going to do this periodically in between my weekly stories that I release. So, um, like I said, my name's Bill Roseberry. I was a longtime sports journalist in the St. Louis metropolitan area, actually Southern Illinois area, right outside of St. Louis. And that really kind of is where my storytelling abilities and writing abilities really grew, and I kind of excelled at it. Um, and I did that for around 20 years. And um, I went to college for mass communications at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. I'm a proud alum from there of the Cougars. Uh, we made the 2025 NCAA tournament in men's basketball for the first time. That was exciting for me and for all of us alums. But anyway, uh, I've just always had a knack for telling stories and wanting to write and things like that. And so when I got I ended up after my sports writing career ended. I lost my job during COVID, unfortunately, and I went into another field. And last fall of 2025, unfortunately, I lost that career. It was unexpected. It left me kind of reeling. It really came out of left field. I was actually in the running for a big promotion that was going to change my life. And instead, I get called in and say that at my campus level that my job was being eliminated. It was shocking, very shocking. So fast forward to January of this year, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I'd been applying for jobs throughout the fall months after I was let go. It was right before Halloween, is when I got let go. So I had been applying for jobs and not finding anything. And to tell you the truth, really gun shy. Because in 2020, when I was working for the newspaper that I was working for, I was let go because of lack of advertising dollars and because of COVID, there wasn't things to cover at the time. So it wasn't my fault. I was on a lot of committees. Was getting some awards and complimented all the time for my work. And but when the money got tight, I got let go. Same thing with my other job. I was on employee resource groups. I was helping to run an emerging leaders employee resource group and writing leadership articles every month for our company and getting ready to teach a class on writing for the whole company, for all the resource groups within the company, employee resource groups, and then let go because of budget. So it's a little scary. So when I was looking for stuff, I was a little still gun shy about finding another job for someone else. In Christmas time, January time, I was with some friends and family, and it really pushed me to start um, getting back into my writing. And I had written a novel, and I've talked about it on my channel. It's called A Matter of Life and Death. It's a fiction coming of age suspense novel with a lot of Midwestern noir in it. And that was something I wrote a long time ago, very early in my sports writing career. And I've just sat on it. So I became a sports writer and got busier, just didn't have the time to do it. And, to work on it, I was just swamped with covering games and being on committees and everything that went along with my career. So, people started pushing me to do that. Well, in the way the world works now, and especially the publishing world and everything, you need to kind of have a brand and a following to get noticed, even for a book. While I have a following locally and a little bit of notoriety from all my years at the newspapers, outside of the little small area where I'm at, nobody knows who I am. So I was trying to figure out what my hook was going to be. And my best friend, Jason Reedy, who, if you've been following my channel and watching my episodes, you'll know who he is pretty well because there's been a lot of stories about him. He's my best friend from 8th grade until he died unexpectedly in January of 2025 of a heart attack. He was a truck driver, over-the-road truck driver. He was on a run, and he was waiting to be unloaded, sitting at a dock. They had come out, checked on him, brought him something to drink, and said, "When we're ready for you to pull up and unload, we'll call your cell phone." And he said, "Okay." And if you know anything about that type of industry, sometimes that can be a while before they call you to pull up. So he was just sitting there waiting. And when they called, he didn't answer the phone. They called again. He didn't answer the phone. So someone went out and checked. And when they did, they found him slumped over in the truck, head against the window, and he was unresponsive. He had passed away in his truck. He had a heart attack. It was devastating for me. He's like a brother to me. We did everything together. He was at every family function, birthdays, 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, all of it. We were always together. And losing him was devastating for me. So I had really struggled with that. And then when I lost my job, now I'm reeling from that. So when it came time to figure out what I was going to do to try and help get a following and promote this novel, which, matter of fact, oddly enough, he and I are two of the main characters in the novel. It's about our lives growing up. It's basically a urban legend for Fosterburg, Illinois, which is where we grew up. Very small town. Country, rural town outside of Alton, Illinois. And like I said, across the river from St. Louis, Missouri. So I had been writing little Facebook memories about Reedy, and they weren't anything really fleshed out in anything. So I decided, man, I'm going to start writing about him. So I started putting out these short stories that I put out on Substack. I started February 9th of this year, writing stories on Substack. The very first one I did was it was called Goin' Tubin', which then in turn turned into my first YouTube episode called Tubin' Nightmares. And I'm sorry, that was what was on the thumbnail. The name of the episode was I Thought He Was Gonna Whoop Somebody. And it was all about our adventures the first time we went tubing at Gillespie Lake, which was a small lake north of where we grew up in Fosterburg and Alton. And we would go up there a lot when we were 17 to maybe about 17 to about 21. We were there a lot. So there's a lot of stories about Gillespie. But anyway, I started writing those and they've just gone from there, and it's grown and grown. And all the stories are real stories based on Reedy and I's, we'll say, adventures, things that we just grew up with. here in the Midwest doing with some of our friends and things we ran into. He was such a unique individual, maybe the most unique individual I've ever met. He did things the way he wanted to do them. Everything was on his terms. I'll give you a quick story here about him. He was This was a few years ago. He had a job, and he had broke a safety violation with the job, and had and it was something that his review had come up, and he'd had this safety violation, and so it was up for his review and to um, get his promotion or get a raise. And when he sat down and they only gave him like $1 an hour raise for where he was at, he he called and he told me about it. He's telling me about it. I said, well, so what did I said, what did you do? He goes, I quit. And I said, you quit? What the hell? They gave you $1 an hour raise and you quit? He goes, hell yeah, I told them to take that dollar and shove it straight up their ass. I quit. And I said, but you had a safety violation. Man, I don't care. I need my money. I said, dude, you can't be doing that. So now he doesn't have a job. Well, lo and behold, like always with him, they end up calling him back, and he gets his job right back at the same company, and kept working for him for years after that. I mean, he was just such he was something else. I mean, if there was something he wasn't going to do or something he didn't like, you weren't getting him to do it. He definitely marched to the beat of his drum and lived the life the way he wanted to live it. He didn't put himself in very many embarrassing moments. That's why some of these stories are great, because they are about times that he put himself in moments where he could look bad. And that's what usually makes them great, because you see how his personality comes out in those situations, because he usually gets pretty perturbed about it. Um, he didn't have much patience for drama, and he didn't have much patience, period, in a lot of ways. He smoked like a chimney, just did life the way he wanted to live it. So, but on top of all that, he was the most loyal and non-judgmental person I think I've ever met. Um, he he had a million friends, and people just absolutely adored him. Even people that he didn't like adored him. He was something. And you know, I get a little emotional still thinking about him and talking about him. But you know, um, uh, he had my back unconditionally a lot. I didn't have to worry about getting bullied a lot when I was younger, because he was, even in junior high when we started hanging out, he was damn near 6 foot tall and weighed over 250 pounds. And by the time we were in high school and about out of high school, he was over 300 pounds and about 6'2". And that's where he was at. By the time he died, he was probably 6'2" and about 380 pounds, something like that. I mean, he's a big boy. He's a big man. So, and a little intimidating if you didn't know him. He didn't really intimidate me, but there were times he did, and we'll probably get into some of those stories where I pushed my limits, even me being like a brother to him. And but yeah, he was a truck driver. He had a very big passion for driving that truck. He was great. That's probably where he had his most patience, was driving. He loved to drive and drive big trucks and see the world. He got to see the whole country all the time. He would send me pictures from Montana, from New York City, from Texas, from California, Florida, wherever he was at. He would be sending me pictures of where he was driving to. It was great, through the Rocky Mountains, through the desert. He enjoyed that. And the other thing he had patience for was fishing. That was one of his other favorite things. And that's not something that I shared with him a lot. I'm not really a big fisherman, but there's a story on here about him fishing too. You could check out. So, he also he didn't complain about much. He was a cancer survivor. He had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he beat that on his terms. He didn't have anybody help him out. He went through the chemo and quietly did it without asking for much publicity about it. He didn't ask for a pat on the back for the hard times that he went through, or even anybody feeling sorry for him. Or I offered to give him a fundraiser during that time because we DJ'd. We had a DJ service, which there's some stories about us DJing on here too. And he got mad at me. He said, "Hell no, man! I don't want nobody giving me no handouts. You got to figure this stuff out yourself. That's some bullshit." And that was him. So he figured it out and he beat it. And he was a cancer survivor. And then when his mother was diagnosed with cancer, he stopped everything. He took care of her. He wasn't around a lot. I mean, it was a time where I didn't see him a lot. He just stayed home and he took care of his mom, and he physically carried her up and down stairs when she got sicker, and he really showed what kind of a man he was and what kind of a son he was during that time. And yeah, that's something that I don't know that a lot of people know about him and some of the things that he did. So he was just a unique individual and a great man in a lot of ways, a very blue collar person. He dropped out of high school, but went back and got his GED. But he was very worldly in his knowledge, and he was not an ignorant man. He was very smart and very street smart too. So, but yeah, a lot of what I'm doing is about him, and I hope that you all love those stories and have followed them, and you can check out the Reedy Chronicles um, playlist and watch all of them. There's 15 stories on YouTube as we speak right now about Reedy and I. And then I've shifted here. I only have 2 stories up as we're speaking right now about my sports writing career, but that was a very important and proud time in my life. I worked in community journalism, and I got to interview people like Ozzie Smith, Kevin Green, Mike Matheny, Dan Gable, the wrestling legend. You know, Kurt Warner, Brett Favre at press conferences. I did a one-on-one with the late Chris Duncan, who played for the St. Louis Cardinals. The late Kenny Reitz, that played for the Cardinals. And countless guys that I covered in high school that are in the professional sports now, like Brian Hudson is a pitcher for the Chicago White Sox. I got a good relationship with Brian, and still periodically speak with him. And AJ Epinesa, who recently signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, I covered him through high school, and had a great relationship with those guys. And then I got to see people like Jalen Brunson and Bradley Beal and EJ Liddell and Jordan Goodwin and Tanner Houck and Drew Millis, Sam Laporta. These are all professional athletes that are playing professionally now that I watched when they were in high school and saw them grow. Those are cool moments of my life that you know I I have those memories, and and I learned how to storytell through that time. I learned how to interview people. I learned how to build relationships, and that's what I want to do here. I want to build a relationship with all of you, and I hope that you get some entertainment out of here. You get some connection with some Gen X nostalgia, which all the stories have. Um, there's a lot of pop culture references in what I'm doing. Like I said, lots of Gen X nostalgia, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, even 2000 teens. There's a few stories in there with the sports writing career, but a lot of 90s stuff. And it led me to create a magazine that I've released called the Reedy Chronicles Volume 1 about Reedy. And it's the first 5 stories that you have here on YouTube. And I created on my Substack page. It's written content. It's got extra behind the scenes stuff. And it, uh, it really is a 90s Gen X nostalgic piece of print media that I worked with a graphic designer that I knew from my time in the newspaper industry, Missy Long. And, Missy did a phenomenal job. We're looking to put out more Reedy Chronicles. Volume 2 should be out this fall. Looking forward to that and everything else. And I got one more thing here I'm going to leave you with this time, and then I'll come back, like I said, maybe periodically talk about some more behind the scenes and about the journey that I've gone on with learning some of the things I've done. But I want to talk about the shirts just for a second. I've never brought this up. Every week on my YouTube channel, I'm in a different music band shirt our musicians' shirt, concert shirts, and things like that. As you see today, I'm wearing the Beatles, and that is an ode to something else that I did that I've done in my life, and I'm getting ready to get back to soon, hopefully, and that's online radio. I am the co-host of the Metal Mike Show, which is an online metal radio station on craniumradio.com. Currently, we're on hiatus. Mike Tyler is like a brother to me, just like Reedy. We're very close. And Mike and I have had a station or had a show that we've ran on the station for years, and we totally enjoy that. And this was owed to that and all the concerts that we go to and all the music and how important music is in my life, too. I just wanted to tip my cap to that. And you can check out craniumradio.com. There's still a lot of great DJs on there and a lot of great friends that are doing a phenomenal job there if you're looking for some good music. And it's not just all metal, it's all kinds of music. So check out craniumradio.com also. And hopefully I'll be able to promote here in a little bit about the Metal Mike Show coming back. And you can check that out on Friday nights. And maybe follow me in a little bit of a different light as a DJ. And I'll come back again later on, and we'll chat a little bit more. I just wanted to have kind of like sitting around a bonfire, sitting around the living room, just chatting it up and give you a chance to know about me, about Bill Roseberry Stories, the station. You can go to my Substack page and check out the written content. On Fridays, there's a podcast. It's available on Apple and through Substack. It's on Spotify. Um, there's 3 ways you can digest all this stuff that I'm doing. You can digest it through the Substack in written form on Mondays, on Wednesdays here on YouTube, and then on Fridays through my podcast. So I'm enjoying doing this. And I just wanted to say hello and really introduce myself because if you've been following the station or the channel, it's been on since March, and I haven't really done this, so you don't really know who I am. So here I am. Hello, and welcome to Bill Roseberry Stories. Thanks. Talk to you soon.